Back again.
God damn, Tom. We got an American this week. That's my American accent.
That's
Sorry.
it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
I know, but Tom, that is my American accent for it all. Like, that's my Chicago as much as it is my Minnesota. It's all just the one.
Oh, right. Well, you sounded kind of like you'd been struck in the head too many times playing, like, Friday Night Lads. Like that guy, who played in that game, the movie Friday Night Lads, and he was also in Tokyo Drift. It was kind of like he's stuck in Forrest Gump.
I know the guy. Yeah, I know the guy. Yeah, I know that kid from. I know that kid from an old show that was called American Gothic that came out after X-Files hit big. Like, first season of X-Files was big, and everyone was like, "What have you got that's spooky?" And it was American Gothic came out, and it came for one season. Lucas Black, I want to say that kid's name is, and there was another guy in it who you'd know from Everton. He was the boss in Office Space. Those TPS reports. What do you call that guy?
Yeah, anyway, I know the guy.
Yeah. And the boss in Office Space, he played like this like spooky sheriff kind of thing, and this other Lucas kid was he had like mental powers or some shit like that. Anyway, how are y'all keeping? Welcome.
Sorry for alienating 99.9% of the people listening here.
You know what? There is one person somewhere going, American Gothic. Absolutely love that show. Got cancelled before its time. Never had a final episode, Tom. This goes back to something I gave out about Yards last season.
To be fair, that lad was stealing a living this fucking long time. He can no more fucking act now than the man in the moon. But fair, hats off to him. As I love a chancer. Love a chancer. Just like that.
You may all be wondering.
maybe wondering who are these two fucking chances I'm listening to.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's Tom and Gerry back again with another bonus episode. And the reason why we're all stateside these days is that we have a stateside comedian who's been living here in Ireland for at least 10 years, but we haven't welcomed him into the fold just yet. He's still a blow-in.
Fucking here about 20 years, Jim is. He's milking that old fucking American thing this long time now. I'll be fair, if I was him, I totally would too. Like,
yeah, he's good at it though.
He is. Oh, he's very good at being an American. He's very. He
hasn't. I have to give him this much, Tom. He hasn't lost the accent.
No, in fair, but I reckon a lot of that's put on. I reckon a lot of it. I'd say at home now he's like, yeah, have you? No, Jim. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine? Anyway, this is no introduction to anybody who's new to the fucking show. This is Tom and Gerry show. We typically have long ass deep dive shows on ourselves and all the rest, but we are between seasons. We are not taking a siesta at all. We're not even taking a fucking sabbatical.
I've never worked so hard in my life.
I'm not joking with you people. When I say McBride is busting his hole, the stuff that we have planned for season 6, we have had meetings. Gerry has written loads of stuff. I've written stuff. But at the same time, season 6 is definitely under, and we're putting way more effort into it than we have done in the past. So,
Tom, when I say I'm busting my hole, my arse looks like the Japanese flag pre-war.
There were a couple of rough ones post-war too, in all fairness. Yeah.
but we're still keeping coming with the bonus episodes because we want to, we can't
lose them, Gerry. We can't lose them.
Also, that algorithm, you let it go, it's fucking gone, baby. We love our audiences, and also we love our fucking algorithm. So we keep the bonus episodes coming from one of the favorite segments of the Tom and Gerry show, which was my worst gig ever, and we've mentioned him there a couple of times already. And his picture was probably in the image that you clicked.
Oh, it is, definitely is, yeah.
It's our good friend Mr. Jim Elliott with a couple of tales that will let you know that faraway gigs are also shite. Jim Elliott, it's lovely to see you the right way up, my good man.
It's good to see you guys.
Anybody that follows Jim on Twitter or Instagram, he's taken up a curious hobby over the lockdown.
Anybody that follows Jim on Twitter, dude, I have there's no commas in any of my follower accounts. Like, so it doesn't. I don't have a following.
That's about to change,
but I don't have nothing. Oh, I'm gonna get that buckshot bounce, huh? That real Tom and Gerry show.
Yeah.
Anybody out there that wants to hear from a funny American who also does a flying trapeze act, boy, shit, do we have a fucking account for you to follow.
Well, we've as a trio, we've probably gigged more. Our Venn diagrams of gigs have probably fucking linked up more times often than not. And Jim, to be fair, Jim's a very, very good act. And Jim, we don't want to hear anything in the way of good stuff. Nobody wants to hear that good stuff.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to hear that time you rocked it at
Well,
any
then I
festival.
have good news because I don't have a lot of those stories.
Great.
So great. Fantastic. Let me tell you, there was cocaine and blowjobs for miles after my last gig. No, none of those. I actually I had an idea for a podcast about a year ago when all this crap kicked off, that because everybody's got a podcast about my first gig. I thought we all should do a podcast called My Last Gig, and we could all talk about the last time we did live stand up before the world ended. Mine was in the Bachelor's Inn on the Keys there. It was a little known Dublin institution called Dante's Comedy Club.
Oh shit, yeah.
I think they changed venues more times than they actually had acts. It was good. It was a good night now. The two dudes running it knew what they were doing, and they would set the room up right, and they had good lights and good microphones. But it was an odd little duck of a gig because they had just, I don't know if they left one bar for the other one, but they got kicked over there. But that was my last gig before it all went to hell.
I had a low level death in the Comedy Cellar on a Wednesday night. Nothing, not a crushing death, just like a
That new stuff didn't work. Okay, back to the paper.
I got to work on that next time.
Did you commit to the new stuff, or did you bail out of the new stuff 3 sentences in when it wasn't working and go, let me go with some tried and tested?
Promptly. I tried new stuff, then I made a quip about this new COVID thing that had just come in, and I got a big laugh because we all thought it was just a big fucking joke, and then I just pretty much steered the nose of the plane towards the water.
Yeah, good. I have one line in my last gig where I talked about coronavirus, where I got into it with a couple in the audience, and I asked them how long they were dating, and then because they wouldn't shut the fuck up, I didn't want to talk to them. I had stuff I wanted to do, but they wouldn't shut up, so I had to engage. And then I asked them how long they were dating, and then I asked him something else, and then I asked her if he was circumcised, and everyone was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Well, what? These people are boring. I don't give a shit. Do you guys want to do small talk? Okay, weather, traffic, coronavirus. We can do that if you want. I want to talk about his penis right now." And that's the only reference to the whole thing. It was just a background news story back then.
Yeah.
My last gig was what was my?
Sorry.
What was my? Just as weird.
Do you remember
what it was? Working?
I did. No, I did. My last stand-up gig was during the lift of lockdown. You know, it was like level 3.
Oh yeah, you did a level 3 jobby. Remember when we had levels? Remember that? There were like graphs and shit. We don't got no levels no more.
I was to do 35-40 minutes in Galway, and Joe Caulfield was to do 20 minutes via Zoom. And you know Joe Caulfield
via Zoom in front of the crowd.
Yeah, on a big screen. She was going to just do. And her internet shit the bed 5 minutes in. I was drinking my tea out the back. They're like, can you do more?
55 minutes?
And I'm like,
because you haven't done this in 6 months?
No, I had it. I'd done about 15 or 16 gigs at that stage. So the wheels were a bit of DVD. I ended up doing an hour and 25 minutes. And there's melancholy because lockdown was coming that night. I had to be back in Dublin technically by 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 11:45 when I was finishing, and I'm crying into my tea. Going, this is
the car was going to turn into a big pumpkin.
But these are not even close to what we want to hear from you, Jim.
No. So okay,
hell no, Tom.
Yeah, you guys hit me up about worst gig ever, and I struggled to pick one story. So I don't have one story. I got a whole bunch of stories. Let's start in London. This one is did you guys ever go over to the Comedy Store to do the gong shows over there?
Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Is that a yes?
No,
I did.
I didn't. I heard enough stories like what I'm absolutely certain you're about.
See, this is the thing. I didn't really get what I was signing up for.
Yeah.
All I knew was that it was some kind of comedy competition where you didn't have to do much time. And it was a good way to get your foot in the door at the Comedy Store. That's all I knew.
That's like saying Fred West was really good at laying patios. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a fucking diplomatic way of putting it.
To be fair, I was kind of as naive, to be honest. I was just happy to be playing the Comedy Store.
Yeah, I just walked in. I was like, this is a cool room, man. Like, man, this is great. Like all the photos on the walls and the staircase and stuff. And I'm like, this is great. And if I mean, I don't know, dude, your audience probably knows what the hell this is, but it's a thing where everybody goes up and it's what are there 20 acts on, and everybody like you have to make it like 4 minutes into your act, and there's 3 assholes in the audience that have a big red X, and if they can hold up the X at any time when they're sick of you, and when all 3 of them hold up the X, that's it, you're done. And so if you can make the 3 of them happy, and not have them hold up the X the entire time, then you've beat the gong, and the gong goes at 4 minutes and you're up. But I've never seen an audience like this, in that I feel like this was everybody in the audience like knew a comedian, and one of their buddies was a comic, and they've been dragged to shit open mics for the last 4 years, and this is their turn to take revenge. The meanest crowd I've ever seen. And I used to work a midnight show at the Baltimore Comedy Factory. That's where I came up, where they would do on Saturday night, they would have the real show, and then the show would end at 11:45. And they're like, listen, we got another show starting at midnight. If you guys want to stick around, it's all open micers, and the beers are $2 a bottle if you want to stick around. So from midnight to 2 in the morning in fucking Baltimore. So that was, rough people. This was something else. These people had venom in their hearts. Like they couldn't wait for everybody to fail. They loved it. They loved it so much. And so like, I'm like halfway through. You know who else was there that night? Peter Flanagan. Peter Flanagan was there, Irish.
Right. He lives over there now, doesn't he?
Yeah. He did well. He made it through the 4 minutes, but he did not win the night. But
he speaks. Peter has an advantage, Jim. He speaks very slowly and concisely. You would mow through words. He's at least
he has a pace. He has a pace to him. He's also good, fucking good.
Oh yeah, there's that.
So I'm watching the show, and I'm watching the crowd rip through these people, and I'm thinking, and I abandoned my material, which is always a mistake. Whatever your plan was in the weeks coming up to it, if in the 5 minutes before the gig you're like, I got a better idea.
Oh no.
No, you don't. No, you do not. This inspiration needs to be flushed down the toilet. But I was like, listen, I'm going to meet these assholes with aggression. I'm going to meet them with aggression, and they will respect me for it.
Listen to Patrice O'Neill over here.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. So that's what I did. I got up on stage, and Scott, what's Scott's name? American guy from San Francisco. Son of a bitch. He's over here a bunch. Anyway, Scott's like, I know this guy. I gigged with him in Galway and Dublin. Give a round of applause for Jim Elliott. And I come out on stage and I go, here's the problem with you fucking English bastards. And I just hear this roar. Like everybody's heard boo. You know what I mean? Everybody's boo, boo. This was just this anger. Like screaming as hard as they could, like blood vessels popping. And fucking all three X's, bang, bang, bang. And I just kind of stood there for a minute to be like, all right, well, this is going to calm down and I'll get something. Screaming 200 people at me. And so I just put the mic back in the stand and I was like, thanks. And I left. And that was like, I left immediately. I didn't stay for the rest of the show. I walked right out front and I caught a cab to my hotel. I was like, I can't, this was crush. Like I've never heard a crowd make that angry noise before.
I mean, that's a crowd of people that just didn't want to know what was wrong with those English bastards. I mean, I would have been at least fucking curious. No, tell us first.
They didn't want to. They did not give a shit. They were. I think they were delighted to see somebody like try to halfway throw a punch because they were like, "There's so many more of us than there are of you."
Of course,
in the mood for mob justice.
Out of curiosity, Jim, and it's okay if you don't remember, but what was wrong with those English bastards? What was your follow-up to that?
That was just what I started the story with. It was like, all you motherfuckers have been to too many comedy nights where you saw shitty comics and you couldn't say anything because you're too polite because you're English and you don't want to cause a fuss. And now here's a room where you were given permission to cause a fuss and y'all are acting like animals because you can't handle the responsibility. Like that's what I was gonna go with. But
I'm not seeing any problems with that, Jim.
Yeah, I doubt it would have won them over, but it would have bought you another 30 seconds on stage, pal.
I mean, they didn't let me get to the second clause of the sentence. It was the rejection was total and unanimous and very loud, and they immediately were like, "I've never heard anything like it." I couldn't believe it.
That lasted a single stanza.
It was great. It was. I mean, in hindsight, it was great.
You went immediately and had a couple of pints and just went.
I went outside. There was an off license across the street. I bought it because I was only staying the one night, so I bought a shoulder of vodka and I got a cab because I was staying way the hell out in some hotel that I could afford, and so I got a cab out there and I was like, "Fuck it, who cares?" And here's how upset I was. I haven't been a serious cigarette smoker since like 2007. And the cab driver, like I get in the black taxi and the cab driver's like, he flicked his cigarette as I got in. And I was like, can I open the windows back here and smoke about 5 of those? And I'll tell you the story. And I just told him what I told you guys. And he was like, absolutely, man, no problem at all. He thought it was hilarious. He was a real, and I can't do the accent, but he was a real London.
You're never gonna guess who I had in the back of his
he was like, yeah, they don't like that. You shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, no, I know, man. I get that.
Yeah. Hence why I'm out here now.
Hence why I'm out here now. The show doesn't end for another hour. I'm out here with my shoulder vodka and some borrowed cigarettes. Like that's how I feel.
Yeah, I had a very similar. I got to like 2 minutes, and I think they were just like, "Oh fuck it, just fuck it."
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't nasty, but in fairness, there was no warmth or niceties in these people. Like you know what I mean? It's like, no, fuck it.
They came to that show. They approached that show with the same like mental energy that a boxer in training approaches a heavy bag.
Or a hooligan.
This is gonna suck, and I'm gonna work as hard as I can for the next 4 minutes. Just a pap. Yeah, no, it was awful. It was awful.
Grim
stuff.
Don't go back to England.
So that's really like you were like worst gig ever. Like it wasn't that bad a gig. I think the audience had a blast. Like they loved it. But I'll never forget that noise as long as I live. So there's another one that from when I started out back in DC, where I'm from. It was the club was called Wiseacres, and it was in the conference room / bar facility of a Best Western hotel out in the suburbs in a satellite town outside.
I thought that was going to be the name of the hotel. So it was a Best Western, but it
was a Best Western hotel that had
had
a little bar that had a wee little stage built into a corner of it. Now the stage was not in use all the time, but there was a gig there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and they called it Wiseacres Comedy Club, and it was an open mic night Tuesday and Wednesday. And the only I was trying to think it was actually a pretty halfway decent place to start out in the horrific way that American open mics are. Like you guys don't really have those proper open mics here where the show is at 8, the doors open at 6, and somebody puts a bar stool and a piece of paper and a pencil on the stage with 15 numbers on it, and people the first 15 people to show up to write their name on the piece of paper, they're going to get at least 3 minutes. If the host knows them and if they do well, they'll get 8 minutes or maybe 10 minutes if they're really, a real killer. But that's sort of the open mic landscape, and it's brutal because it's 3 minutes, which is not really enough time to get any kind of a rapport going. And it doesn't matter if you can't get any rapport going because there's no audience there. It's the other 15 comics. Nobody's going to an open mic comedy night. That's the worst thing you could think of.
We need to get there early because the open mics are no.
Yeah, no, not at all. But there was this guy that went and he did his little act, and it sucked, and he kind of he didn't get booed, but he didn't get any laughs, and so he also was like, well, fuck all y'all, and he put the microphone down and he left, and it was like, well, never gonna see him again. And a month later he comes back, and he goes he gets on stage, and he clearly fucking planned this, the motherfucker. He goes in front of 14 other comedians. There's 14 comedians and a bartender. There's no audience in here. And he goes, hey, I've changed my act. I want to show you all this magic trick. It's the flying microphone magic trick. And he takes the microphone out of the mic stand and he unplugs it, and he just starts hollering, and he holds the microphone above his head and he goes, it's the flying microphone. It's the flying microphone. And then he leaves out the fire exit at the side of the stage. He stole the microphone. That's what he did. That was his way of getting back at the fact that he died on his ass a month earlier. He was so upset about it that he was like, fuck those people. I'm going to come back and I'm going to steal the mic.
Did you guys think it was a bit and he was coming back?
We thought it was a bit. We were like, all right, well, it's not funny, but none of the other stuff he did was funny. So let's see where this goes.
He was just gone.
60 seconds later, and somebody in the crowd was like, I don't think he's coming back. And he wasn't. He ran. He hit the door and he left. He stole the microphone, and the host found another one behind the bar and plugged it in. And was like, well, I've never seen that before, and I've been gigging here for a decade. So all right, that's something new, I guess.
Do you reckon that guy at home, he took the microphone home and he went home and he opened his wardrobe and just threw it in on a pile of 60 microphones? From fucking.
Tell me I can't do comedy. How can you do comedy when I control the amplification?
Went home and had it mounted like a deer head.
Mm-hmm.
He has a whole room full of these dead microphones that he hunted.
Wiseacres 2004.
This is a microphone that I stole in Edinburgh. This is a microphone that I stole in the comedy.
But Wiseacres, I obviously I know, but I mean, if I was told wiseacres, I would think it was a family summer camp where Jewish people went to stay in the mountains. Like, it sounds like
Yeah,
it sounds
it's
lovely.
it's got that real sort of Yiddish feel. Like, who calls somebody a wiseacre?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I want to. It's a room full of funny people. It's a good comedy club. Wiseacre. That's what I call all my funny friends. Like, you guys gonna love Tom and Jerry, man. Couple of wiseacres, those two. Let me tell you.
What an acre. He's just
What?
such an acre.
It's just such an.
I mean, that's like some sort of American slang. If I read it right, that you're calling someone a wise ass, but you don't want to say wise ass. So
Probably,
you
just
just
a
go back
wiseacre.
in the alphabet that he's a wiseacre. That's the way I always read it. I was hoping that to have definitive clarification on this one from you, Jim.
I mean, I'm no entomologist. I don't even study bugs. But like, yeah, I don't get it. I'm
How
sure
did
that's where it's
how
from.
did you get on any night? Did you have were you just playing to other fucking comedians so all the
Just
time?
other
Like,
fucking comedians, just other comedians. So you would never get laughs. What you would get was you'd hit like, all right, because there's no atmosphere in the room.
Yeah,
at
of
all, 'cause
course.
everybody's doing
Right.
3 minutes at a time. So you would just go, all right, and you'd have your notebook. Here's some stuff I wrote down. Set up, punchline, twist, and additional punchline. And then if you were lucky, you'd hear one of the comics in the back be like, "It's pretty funny." Like that's it. Nobody would laugh because that would be offering encouragement to these people that you were competing with.
Right.
Do you
Like,
know
it's
what?
just like-
I mean, if you do make it through the American system, I've always said it because it's so fucking rough, especially in the likes of New York and stuff where you got to go barking and stuff like
New
that.
York is a whole,
you know what I
whole
mean?
different thing. Those
If
kind
you
of
can
bringer
make it
shows.
through that, by fuck, you have earned your stripes. Like, or
I
either that or
couldn't
you have a
believe
mental
it.
condition, one or the other.
I mean, why not both?
Yeah.
Why
Oh well.
not both,
Yeah.
baby?
Yeah. Absolutely, like a mental condition, but you have earned every fucking bit of the accolades you may get.
I mean,
afterwards.
you got it. Like some of the nights in Dublin that I did when I came over are not for the faint of heart. Did either of you ever gig in the Tap? Do you guys remember the Tap?
Once.
Well, funny you should say that, Jim.
McBride probably closed the tap down, did you?
I actually did a worst gig ever about the Tap here a couple of
Did
years
you really?
on the Tom and Jerry show. Yeah.
Oh no, I remember that episode. I listened to every episode. You should all listen to every episode of Tom and
Indeed,
Jerry.
that was,
Yes,
that
I remember
was-
that.
Season 2 episode, what have you? But yeah, no, I did an episode of worst gig ever about the Tap, and it was just like, again, I look back as I said a bit there, Jim, and you're probably saying the same. Like, what fucking brought me about the place? Do you know what I mean? But there was some little trigger in you. That same thing that brought you to Wiseacres.
Well, yeah,
It
was
sounds
just- was
it
a
sounds
gig.
like multiple times.
Oh
you
my
know,
God, dude, I became a regular there.
it never registered to you. Like, fuck, like this is
Like this is really grim. This is a horrible way to spend your evenings. Like, you're in your mid-20s, man. Go develop a hobby or something, or meet some girls or something. Like, no. I've got this.
This is my thing.
minutes- These 4
Yeah.
minutes of material about because when you're new, I don't know about you guys, but when I was new, I was like, I'm gonna be edgy and speak truth to power.
Oh yeah.
Like, no, dude,
Oh,
you
yeah.
just have a bunch of racist shit about minorities, and you don't know enough yet on that you're not supposed, like, that none of this is funny, and it's not even your viewpoint. I'm out here trying to be some
Fucking edgelord.
combination of Dave Attell and Doug Stanhope, and I'm not.
Yeah, and meanwhile, there's other guys getting by just fine on stealing microphones.
Yes, exactly. That's a whole act.
I will say this.
It was a 2-minute bit. It was
I
he
will-
milked it. He was up there
He
for
beat-
2 minutes before he beat it.
I
was
tell you the
impressed.
truth,
Beat the
I would
gong.
have loved to have seen that. The weirdness of those 2 minutes while I'm looking around at my
Yeah,
compatriots.
and then he
going,
leaves, and the
"What the
door
f-"
closes, and you can hear his. He runs away. Because he didn't walk away. When the door closed behind him, he was like, "That's it. If I don't make it to the car before they get me, I'm dead." I don't know what he thought we were gonna do. Bunch of, like, none of us are tough. It's comics, but like, he sprinted as soon as the door closed, and that's why someone in the back was like, "He's not coming back."
But that's that Bishop Brennan moment, isn't it? Enough time had passed, like Bishop Brennan after getting a kick
Yeah.
in the hole, that it took a full day for him to go, "You
Wait a minute.
bastard." Literally, you're all
He
sitting
took
going,
the microphone.
he took the microphone.
He-
Like, the only thing odder
shit.
would have him to rip up the stage and actually run out of the room with it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
take the backdrop and fuck off. Put it around him like a cape and fuck off.
I'm
Jim,
really
before I go
tempted
any
to do
further,
that
yeah, next time I get on the stage, I'm robbing the whole fucking lot of it. I do want to say before I move on that I drove past the Tap this week, and
Oh,
it's
yeah?
a lovely gastropub.
Oh,
Completely redone. It's all done at the outside of it.
Gastropub,
Is
huh?
all.
they
It's
got
all
they got those Edison light bulbs in there where you can see the
For
filament
sure.
in them. Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah,
okay.
you can
They
get.
got they got
you
a
can get-
€16 cheeseburger.
They give you chips in a cup.
Chips
Uh,
in a cup.
it's a world apart, and I'm actually tempted to go back and see does my
have you guys thought about running
years
in here
of gigging there does it buy me a free appetizer? Jim,
I used to love Gio, but like Gio, the guy who ran the place, he was a sound motherfucker. Like I loved
absolutely,
him,
and the other guy as well, Eric Chance as well. If you're by any chance either of you guys are listening to the Tom and Gerry show, like and subscribe. Jim, you've told us about a shit gig in England, okay? Yeah. And Tom, you know what I always say: be careful out there among them English. You told us about a shit gig back home, but what I really want to know, if you have one of these stories to tell us, is how you've gotten on since doing comedy in Ireland. I mean, surely that's been all plain sailing, right? I mean, we're welcoming to the Americans. We let you fucking land your warplanes and everything here, dude.
I mean, refueling in Shannon.
Refueling is not an act of war, so I don't see why you guys wouldn't allow that. Like, just because it's a war plane, it might not be. Until it's dropped the bombs, it's not actually a war plane. Right now, it's just a plane, and who would you be to refuse a plane a drink of fuel? Come on, you're good neighbors. Like that. Well,
we're doing it, Jim. We're doing it,
are, baby, and I'm proud of you.
And have you ever refueled your warplane of comedy anywhere in Ireland where you were met with Mick Wallace style hostility and
right? There's so many. Sounds filthy, actually. That actually sounds filthy. Like Jim is going around penetrating petrol pumps around our. Anyway, yeah.
One hell of
bomb us, Jim.
Bomb all over.
Bomb us with your warplane, Jim.
Carpet bomb us, Jim.
All right, so I accepted an offer to do so I was gigging in the Laughter Lounge, and after one of the shows, a woman came up to me and gave me her business card, and she was like, I'm putting together, and this is August, and she's like, I'm putting together these holiday gigs in the Red Cow Hotel. If you guys know that place.
I do, Jim, because I gave you an absolute bomb of a gig there a couple of years ago. I handed you a fuck grenade, a Christmas grenade, I believe.
Was this you that put me onto this shit?
Was it the Christmas bullshit?
Was it the same one?
I gave you.
I did a couple of Christmas ones there that were okay.
I gave you one, and you told me that it was horrendous.
Okay, that might be this one. That might be this one, because I've only done one horrendous one out there, and I haven't been back since. But she was like, it's a corporate thing. It's going to be it's a holiday gig, so everybody's going to come, and they'll have a bunch of tables and stuff, and they'll have their dinner.
I gotta tell you, for this to be the same gig you're both talking about, the lady that gave you the business card needed to go out the back door and just pull off a wig, and it's Tom.
There's a strong possibility that's the way it worked, because I had told her about Jim, that Jim would be perfect for it. He wears nice jackets and has great socks. So she could have easily have gone to track him down, because she did go to a bit of comedy in Dublin. So she could have easily.
Nice. Yes, of course. Because
you're perfect for Christmas gigs.
As long as you wear a blazer.
Yeah.
In fairness, the money for the 2 nights was not bad.
Yeah, of course. It's Christmas time.
Yeah, it's Christmas time. But I get there, and big old ballroom with the dance floor, and half of the dance floor is taken up with the stage, and I can see the tables where they're spread out, and I'm like, well, everybody's a bit far from the stage, but that's it's okay. It's a good stage, and they got good lights and a good mic, and they got an actual sound engineer and a PA, and I'm like, okay, well, this is it's not gonna be great, but it'll be fine. And then I'm hanging out in the whatever backstage area that they have, and I'm talking to all the other acts that are on, and they're all musicians and stuff, and I'm like, so where's the other comics? Like, I get that there's a band after dinner, so that people can dance, but there's a show first. And they were like, what are you talking about, man? Like, we're the closing band. That band over there is the opening cover band. We work with them a lot too, but blah blah, we all know each other. And I find the lady who's working there, and I'm like, am I the only comedian? She's like, yeah, you're gonna go up first, you're gonna do a half hour, and then you're gonna bring on the bands. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm gonna bring on the bands? Surely the MC is going to bring on the bands after he's brought on me, right? Sheesh. And she goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, oh, right. So I'm just going to interrupt people while they're eating to be like, hey, listen to me and shut up for a minute. Like, that's, I don't know if you guys have heard, Nate Bargatze, the US comic. He has a great story where he talks about a gig that he did where he surprises the crowd, and now, surprise, it's comedy. And he goes, if you're not prepared for comedy just sounds like a mean speech. It's not like a thing that people want to hear. And so I was like, well, so there's no like MC or nothing. I'm like, well, can the fucking PA just get up and be like, all right, everybody, the show is going to start. Welcome to stage, comedian Jim. Because like, I'm like, even that little bit will help.
Yep.
And she's like, absolutely, we can talk him into doing that. That's fine. That's not a problem. And then we're sitting around backstage a little bit longer, and somebody's got a diagram of the floor and the tables, and the tables have labels on them for who's sitting there, right? By groups, by corporate groups. It's a corporate thing. And I noticed that there's a table over here of some auto dealership, and a table over there of another. It's Red Cow, so another auto dealership. And then most of the tables, like 80% of the middle of the tables, have the name of a hospital I've never heard of on them.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, all right, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Staff night out, hospital, I get it. And then right before I go up there, like they're serving out the last of the food that they want, and they're adjusting the lights before the show goes on. And I'm like, so what's this? And I don't remember the name of the hospital. Like, what's this? What hospital is this? Because I want to like know where they're from a little bit. If it's from one of the few places in Ireland I know how to make fun of, I'm going to make fun of it. And they go, it's this hospital here. It's a nursing home. It's a nursing home hospital, blah, 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 whatever, Shady Acres thing. And I go, oh, okay, cool. Well, look, who's the boss? Because if I find out who the boss is, I can make fun of him, and everybody likes that. And if he's good cracked, then the staff will have it. And they go, staff? And I go, yeah, well, this is like a hospital night out.
Oh, no, Jim.
The staff.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim. And they go, no. No. These are the patients. These are the hospice. The resident folks, the residents who've checked into this building to die. Like this is there. And I look around and like there's a lot of like oxygen tanks and like wheelchairs and stuff. And I'm, oh my God. Oh my God. And I look at her and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll and the guy gets up, the fucking greasy ass like sound engineer. All right, hey, comedy now. Here's Jim Elliott. And I'm like, hey guys, can you have someone put your napkins in your lap? I got some jokes to tell you, if you don't mind.
Oh my God!
And I recited my material to utter silence, and it reminded me a lot of of what I imagine a lot of the online gigs are, where you just have to like pause and pretend people are laughing. You're just like, hey, set up punchline, and then you smile and nod. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but there isn't Semolina running down the chins of anybody on a Zoom gig, Jim.
Yeah, when Tom's doing a Zoom gig, he's not actively ruining everybody's last Christmas.
No, it was awful. It was, and I.
How many people were in the room, Jim? How many sprinklies? Minus
20-ish tables of 8 each, I guess. So I don't know.
Oh,
it was a big room.
160 people with a
minimum
combined age of 20,000.
Yeah. They were all, they were very polite. There was, you know what I mean? Usually you do a gig like that at a corporate and you're like, everybody's eating their food. They weren't even listening. They all like, to the extent they were able, they turned their heads to the stage. Like this was a show. When's the last time they were at a show? And I'm out there doing my stupid, hey, color review.
Color review.
The head on him. You people say some
aluminum
weird stuff. Ireland, I'm happy to be here. I'm not from here myself.
Oh my!
And I did my 20 minutes,
and
I left, and I walked out, and then I woke up the next day, and I checked my email, and they're like, I get an email from the organizer, and she goes, "Look, we had some complaints, so we're not going to have you back for the second night." And on the one hand, I was delighted because I really didn't want to go back, and on the other hand,
yeah,
complaints, you motherfuckers,
you old bastards,
you corpses, you got a problem with my fucking material in this room with no MC and no atmosphere whatsoever, and I shuck and jive up there for 20 minutes, and you don't like the way I pronounce Ancio? You think that I'm making fun of you? Anyway. So so that was
could have been the car sales, Jim. Could have been the car sales at no time.
You know what? It could have been. I
mean, really, do those old people know how to work the internet?
I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
To lodge complaints on a Facebook page.
To that,
I got to tell you, before we get too ageist, I have seen old people at loads of gigs, and by and large,
Usually they're great crack.
They're great
You
crack.
can't offend them. You can't say nothing. They're like
No, because what do they care?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, daycare was exactly what was going on, Gerry. It was definitely daycare.
Daycare. Hi-oh.
But yeah, all I can say, Jim, is you're welcome.
You mother.
Oh, I remember him telling me that, going, they fucked me off the second one time. I went, yeah. Well, Jim, I didn't even make it to the first one, so look, but fucking Jesus.
I did wear a nice jacket. It was
of course you did. You probably had classy socks as well. So I mean, you were everything I told her you were going to be.
I couldn't believe it when she was like, doctors, staff.
Yeah, that was.
What?
I think that is one of the greatest fucking twists.
What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? This is a corporate night out. And she goes, yeah. And these are the residents of the Shady Acres Death Hospice. And I'm like, oh God.
I never seen it coming. I did not see it coming.
Gerry, I did.
Yeah, because you fucking set it up,
bastard.
Jim, we have said this throughout the history of the Tom and Jerry show, my worst gig ever. Never accept a gig that another comedian has turned down.
Yeah.
Because what gig does a comedian turn down?
Well, I didn't really turn it down. To be fair, I thought
had Tom was busy.
I was. Jim, I would have walked down.
Yeah, watching telly laughing his ass off.
No, I'm telling you, I would have walked into that pothole myself because I would have taken that gig because the money was good. It was 2 nights. I had looked into it, and it was only that I was started Panto. Panto started a week early.
Exactly.
And I just said, Jim, clean as a whistle, he'll fucking sort it. And then the more I started to think about it, I said, Red Cow, that's where fucking, those hokey comedians and, those guys, take me wife, please, kind of people end up at and I went, oh no. But then I felt okay because it was like, well, it's a good payday.
Yeah, exactly.
Jim won't be too angry with me.
Yeah,
it'll
be all right. And it was,
and hey, we'll be able to fucking talk about it on a theoretical show that myself and Gerry might end up having later down the line. That was a beautiful tie-up, actually.
My friend's agony will be good material for my show. This is fantastic.
Exactly. It's
happy to be your torture suspect, Tom. I hope you and the rest of the Nazi scientists learned something from experimenting on me. That's
Gesundheit. Dankeschön.
That was kind of that was a thread I wanted to pull at, Jim. Like, I know you're here a long time, so you're here fucking 12 years, so you can.
Yeah, I get it.
You can ditch the whole fucking fish out of water shit. This is your water, pal.
As long as I sound like this, man, it's a good angle. Like I'm not gonna shed it.
It's called the Bishop effect. Jim will be fucking talking about iron jumpers and fucking immersions till he's fucking 90, and he's allowed to.
I'm not learning Gaelic.
Yeah,
Fuck
exactly.
the both of you. I'm not doing it.
But come here, like, I was going to say, like, something like, it's like myself or Tom, if we were asked to do a gig, well, Tom clearly fucking did it, but like, the Red Cow Roundabout, Red Cow Hotel, that'd be like a, for want of a better phrase, a red cow flag for us. That okay, we know it's a, we'd know straight away what we're walking into.
Yeah,
but
to me, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty big hotel. Must be a classy gig. I don't know. What the hell do I know about a Red Cow Hotel? I live.
That's exactly what.
I don't stay in the hotels here. I don't know what hotels are good.
This is the thread I want to pull at, because when you were telling us earlier about Wiseacres Comedy Club and a Best Western, I'm like, a Best Western? You say?
Ooh, yeah, no, okay.
As opposed to Road Western. Yeah.
No, what I want to know is, like, is there any rural Ireland gigs, any arse-hole in nowhere Ireland gigs that me or Tom would turn up at and go, oh, this is class, but that you would have turned up at and be like, what in the fuck? How is this a pub? It's also half a shop.
No, I mean, I've done those one-nighters where it's somebody in the country trying to set up a gig, and you get out there and you're the only person in the building that knows that comedy was going to happen that night.
Yeah.
And so everybody else there is watching the match or eating their dinner or playing darts or doing what this pub does the other 364 nights of the year. And you have to come up and bang on the microphone and be like, hey, everybody be quiet. It's my turn to talk. And if you talk now, it's you being rude, actually. And you're like, here's the things that I thought of. And you're like, nobody cares. Everyone's like, it's a Thursday, and this is my one night that I can get out of the house. Like, I agree, my wife will watch the kids, and I can have 4 hours with my buddies here. I don't want to listen to some piece of crap talking about, clever wordplay. You're right. That word does have 2 meanings. Ha 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 ha. How about that? Like nobody's there to appreciate comedy. Like that's not. I don't even get mad at people who react like my first ever gig was like that. Was in a sports bar on the outskirts of DC in Virginia, and I walk in and there's two guys, with a microphone on the amp, and I'm like, there's an open mic on Craigslist. I'm here for the open mic. And they're like, you a comedian? I'm like, yes. It's literally my first gig. Like I'm like, yeah, I got some jokes I want to do. And the bar is empty except for four guys sitting, where the stage area is, and they're looking at the game. I think it was a college football game or something. And they turn off the big TV, and the four guys are like, what the fuck? We were watching that. And the guy was like, no, it's comedy now. It's 8:30 and comedy starts. And they were like, is the game on in any other television in this building? And the guy was like, yeah, way at the other end of the bar if you guys want to sit in the corner under the 12-inch TV. And they all got up and they went from there. And they sat under the television over there, and I did my jokes to nobody, literally nobody. The guy on the host and his buddy who was running the mic, and that's what. But like, I wasn't angry at those guys. I didn't be like, you spoiled the show. They were like, you spoiled my night. Like I called my friends. We met here to watch the game, and you jerks with your comedy, like that's not their fault. I don't blame them.
It's their fault they didn't read the fucking sign out the front that I'm sure said 8:30's comedy.
You walk in a bar and there's a million pieces of paper taped to the door, and you're going to read every one. You'd be like, oh, man, it is Tuesday the 12th. How about that? I guess we're in luck, boys.
Jim, that was bleak. It got bleaker and bleaker, and you actually finished off. You went all the way back into Defeatus, and you that was one of the bleakest first ever gigs I've ever heard. Even though because nothing terrible happened. Nothing at all happened. That's what makes it actually fucking so bleak. But Jimbo, that was absolutely fucking gorgeous.
It's always a pleasure to talk to the both of you, man, and I can't wait for this shit to lift and we can actually start doing some proper gigs again. Even the hell ones. Sure, I don't care.
Oh, I don't
care.
I tweeted recently when I watched the show that I would take a gig in the Cecil Hotel right now.
Ooh.
I fucking
would
would
say things we can't take back. All right.
I would just wouldn't mention the water tank. Fuck it. You know what I mean? I've got Ballygowan. You're fine. Thanks, lads. No, you're fine. Thank you. Jim, that's been a treat. Thank you so much, dude.
Thanks a million, Pop.
Oh, God. I did throw Jimbo under the bus there, didn't I? I know it.
I believe in America they're called coaches, Tom. You threw him under the coach.
I threw him under the Greyhound. Under the Greyhound.
You threw him under the Greyhound.
He still got paid.
But you know what?
He still got paid the fucker.
He's you know what? He's a good sport about it. That's the thing with comedy, Tom. You do the gig, you die in your hole, but you're rest assured nobody's ever going to remember you for that, and you got paid. Listen,
as he said at that one in the Red Cow, that basically it was to a lot of wrinkles. That by now, I would suggest that
Jim is the least of their worries.
Yeah, and time has possibly not been good to him. So I would imagine Jim is not high on their list of. In fact, they probably didn't even know where they were at the time. So, hey, all's good. All's good. Thank you very much, Jim Elliott.
Thank you very much, Jim Elliott. And if anybody that was at that gig is still alive and kicking, and you'd like to follow us on Twitter or Instagram, you can absolutely do that.
Follow you? What?
Follow us?
What? Oh,
not Instagram. Instagram.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tom and Gerry Show, because you're gonna fucking want to know, Tom, when that season 6 hits.
It's coming. It's coming, and it's going to be tasty as hell. You might even, I dare I say it, Jar, people might actually learn something. They might I'm not promising that, but they might actually learn something with season 6.
Terms and conditions apply. Other than that, you can follow us wherever you can subscribe to this podcast, wherever it is you get podcasts. You're probably doing that already if you're listening to us. If you're not, click like, share, subscribe, all that kind of shit, and also leave us an L review if at all possible. Take 2 seconds out of your day. Someday you're at nothing, and I mean someday you're at real nothing.
Which is right now, Jar. Which is right now. Whoever's listening to this right now is not doing heart surgery. Stop, pause, go into the app, and if it allows you to leave a review, go to the 5 stars. Say something cool like, buys a class, what do you at? Anything you like, just something nice along with the 5 stars. That way,
those are 2 starters, but I'm sure you'll come up with something good yourselves there.
Listen, I don't want to put words in their mouth.
No, keeps us up in the in the considerations of Apple and the podcast gurus of the like, when someone is listening to a better podcast than ours, and it's people who like this podcast also like this podcast, we might just show up there. You never know. Every little helps.
So that being said, Gerry, throw the saddle up and that horse, then we head on out the road.
Well, gee, I gotta go eat a corn dog. Hey, before I go, I've had a corn dog. Long time listeners will know that back in the day I was all like, "Hey, Twinkies," and then all of a sudden we had Twinkies. It's like, "Oh fuck, okay, I guess."
They're rotten. Oh yeah, they're rotten. Forgot that.
I had a corn dog. Also rotten, Tom.
Rotten.
There you go.
Rotten.
Yeah,
Twizzlers. Rotten. Hershey's. Rotten.
Hold on, keep it. Burn it.
Mind yourselves. Ike and Mike's rotten. Pretty rotten.
Yeah. Tom and Gerry Show podcast. Not bad.
Till next week, boys and girls. Go handy.